Okay, moving on to our next story of the day. This one takes place in North Korea. I know many of you worldwide are out of a job, but guess what? North Korea is hiring hostesses for tourism. So let's read the article and you can give your thoughts. North Korea is recruiting large numbers of women to look after foreign visitors as the isolating regime focuses on building up its tourism industry. A source on Tuesday said the Workers' Party Politburo has set up a new department and is recruiting women as tour guides during the day and hostesses at night. Well, I'm sorry, guys. Looks like you don't qualify. Women who are recruited to entertain high-ranking officials are chosen based on their loyalty to the party, but the new hostesses will be chosen based off their looks and vigorous personality. Politburo members will choose the finalists based on their physical exams and interviews, the source said. 100 have already been chosen and are undergoing training. They will work in hotels and bars to cater to foreigners as soon as the virus pandemic eases. There are rumors that they will charge $100 an hour for their companionship, 70% of which will be compensated by the party. Rumors say that the woman will earn a lot of money, so there's been a lot of applicants. Many women who'd worked in restaurants abroad are returning to North Korea to apply. Keep that in mind. One former senior North Korean officer said North Korea authorities are in desperate need of money due to the international sanctions. So they're even preparing to offer kaise tourism packages, referring to entertainers similar to the Japanese guest guy. Yeah, I'll talk about that in a minute. Tourism is particularly the sole source of hard currency for the North under international sanctions. North Korea leader Kim Jong-un's personally pushing fabric for construction in the XYZ province, tourist zones. All right, so stay tuned for my thoughts on this article. So here are my thoughts on the North Korea recruits hostesses for tourists. Okay, first off, ever since 2008, maybe a little before, North and South Korea had this place where the North Koreans would work in factories produced by South Koreans for cheap labor called the Kansang Industrial Region. And this worked for a while, but then Kim Jong-il, he closed it toward the end of his life, and then eventually it reopened, but then permanently shut down. But while this happened, the North Koreans, they stole all the equipment, so basically it was useless when it reopened anyway. But later you could get a tourist visa, and you could go through China to North Korea. A few people actually did this, and they had this cruise boat. Not that it necessarily would take you on a cruise, but it would sit on one of their rivers, and you basically would sleep in there because there was no real hotel that had high enough standards, like running hot water or whatever. So they put these people on the cruise boat, and that's kind of the one that's in the picture. That's been around for quite a few years. Semi-successful. I've read a few articles on it. But would you feel safe on that prison, or would you feel like you were in prison? Okay, moving on. We also know that even when you are there, you could just do, I don't know, anything. Then you can go to jail, be in prison, or whatever. This American named Ottawa, remember? He basically tore down a photo of Kim Jong-il or Kim Jong's son, and they threw him in jail. That is breaking the law, but that's another thing when you travel. You should know the laws of the country before you go. But in his case, it became very severe. and eventually he died. Okay, so if that's the way they treat their tourists or whatnot, would you trust your safety there? What reassurances would you even have? So I don't know. Now, pay for companionship. Do you pay for companionship? Uh, I've never done it, but many people say it's better than hanging out with a fake friend or people that like you only because you buy them drinks or whatever. So maybe it's better to just pay somebody up front, know what you're getting. I don't know, but what I do know is South Koreans for years have been buying mail order brides. And when I first started in 2007, they were buying many Filipinos. Eventually, the Vietnamese brides took over, and I'll talk more about that in a different video when the topic ever comes up. That's quite interesting. But more recently, too, there's many South Koreans who want still keep their Korean heritage, so they're actually buying North Korean girls and trying to bring them over, and so that's interesting. Now, we mentioned the Japanese geisha. Now, this is their word for comfort or concubine, and basically, hey, you pay for happy time. So that's what Kim Jong Un is trying to say. You give us $100 and you'll have a good time. And do you think people will return for work? You know, I don't think they'll return for work. I usually most people want their freedom. I think this is kind of propaganda on his part. But I will say most people love their country no matter where they're from. I remember one time I was in Bali and I went out to this island called Lukapur. And it was like only two families on this whole island, and it was like just dirt. And this little kid is running naked, and he just told me, I go, don't you want to at least be on the mainland? We have this. And he's like, but this is my home. It is all I know. And it is true, not just from him, but because that's just made me freeze. I thought, gosh, I'm used to all this high tech and everything, but this kid is just used to a total simple life. But the more I travel, most people they love their country. It doesn't matter if they're Chinese, they're North Korean, whatever. Their condition or just the patriotic, they have it. So you can't really change that in most people. You shouldn't. The last thing I want to mention off, would you apply for work? Hey, 16 million of you, according to the newspaper today, are out of work. Would you apply for a job? He will be your employer. Yes, no, leave your comments below. I'd love to hear. Hi. The small clip you saw was brought to you by Loyal World News. If you like what you saw, you should subscribe and look up my daily Loyal World News report for its full version. If you don't want to watch it on YouTube, prefer to be on the road, I also have a podcast in every full-length video I put up.